May the words of my mouth and meditation of all our hearts be acceptable in your sight, our rock and our Redeemer. Amen. The readings that we've been hearing from Luke's Gospel in recent weeks have a certain shock value, or at least I hope they have a certain shock value. We've heard Jesus say, "Let the dead bury their dead," to a man who said he would follow Jesus after he buried his father, whenever that happened to be. We've heard Jesus say, "Unless you hate your father and mother, you cannot be my disciples." Just as we read in the Old Testament that God loved Jacob and hated Esau, although Esau, if you read the accounts in the Old Testament, did pretty well. He enjoyed his hunting, he raised big flocks and herds, and had a tribe of people to follow him. Doesn't mean that God wanted a bad thing to happen to Esau, rather that God's priority was with Jacob. This week, we hear a story about an estate manager who acts disloyally and dishonestly towards his employer, but ends up winning his employer's approval. Is Jesus saying God approves of dishonest behavior? Let's consider the story. We're told that this manager has been wasting his owner's wealth. And this word wasting is exactly the same word that is used in the story about the younger son who turns his share of the family wealth into cash, goes away to a far country, and in the old translation, spends it in riotous living. In other words, this manager has been appropriating the goods and wealth of his employer for his own enjoyment. However, he's being reported, his employer decides to fire him, but sensibly, he wants to find out how much the manager has swindled him. Not an unfamiliar story. Not surprisingly, the manager is scared. Losing his position will be an absolute disaster for him. How would he possibly support himself with any dignity? So he makes a bold move. He'll encourage his employer's tenants to change the amounts of produce they should pay the owner annually for the rent of the land. These tenants will then be in this manager's debt, and they will, hopefully, provide him with some immediate security and satisfaction after he's dismissed. Not surprisingly, the owner finds out about this manager's plan, but instead of reinforcing his bad opinion of him, it makes the owner realize what a resourceful person his manager is. Now, of course, Jesus didn't tell these stories just to amuse people. He told them to give people something to think about. Something to think about as regards the character and purpose of God. And the only way to get a clear idea of what it is that Jesus is trying to communicate is to put ourselves into the story. Who then is the main character? Well, of course, the manager. What's his situation? Well, it's one in which his security and satisfaction is in serious question. What then does he do? He takes speedy and bold action to ensure, after he's dismissed, that he's provided with respect, food, and shelter. How then does this story relate to Jesus' witness? Jesus, through his teaching and healing and socializing, is witnessing that God is overcoming all the obstacles that separate people from him, and consequently from one another. Jesus is giving a bold witness, and so people will have to decide whether they are willing to give him a bold response in return. people will have to decide if they accept that Jesus' witness truly expresses the character and purpose of the one sole designer, director, and developer of all nature and history, and whether, consequently, they want to spend their lives living in harmony with this hidden and holy one. It's a big decision Jesus is asking from people, because their sense of security and satisfaction is going to depend upon the answer that they give. What I mean by that is this. In accepting Jesus' claims about God, a person is accepting Jesus' assurance that irrespective of what they have done, or whatever it is that distresses them in their lives, they are valued by God. And consequently, they can look to God to provide them with the strength and insight that they need to be able to respond to all their circumstances with consideration, care, and courage. It means also that a person accepts Jesus' claim that they can have a continuing source of satisfaction as they're involved in promoting mutual respect, fairness, kindness, wholeness, partnership, reconciliation. And with each individual act of that kind, they are adding to the possibility of everyone enjoying those benefits as well. And so Jesus is inviting his hearers, including us, to decide for those ways of thinking and acting that promote and support his way of life and love. The Anglican Church of Canada, at its recent General Synod, narrowly made a bold decision to support life and love. I was, for a time, the chair of the AIDS Committee of Going, and Patricia was a home care provider for persons terminally ill with AIDS. As I came to be aware of the devoted, tender, constant, and demanding acts of love made by these male partners, I came to realize that if this is not love, then I do not know what love is. And if it is love, and it is, then it is of God. For God is love, and therefore should be celebrated and affirmed in the sacrament of marriage. The majority of Christian churches made another decision of the same kind when they publicly repented of their involvement in what Judge Sinclair, the chair of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, called the genocide of First Peoples. And I heard him say the words, I was there. These churches went on to commit themselves to both support the recommendations of that commission and to contribute to the financial compensation of those who were abused in residential schools. How well I remember gentle Betty McDonagh of the Cape Croker Reserve telling me how she and her sister were beaten for speaking Ojibwe in the school playground. And then she almost spat out the words, "Why did they not cut out our tongues?" We can't be responsible for the wickedness that the church was involved in along with the state in the past. But surely we have a responsibility for promoting and supporting the church's involvement in development of healing and wholeness in the present and in the future. This congregation, along with many others, has decided to support life and love by offering the opportunity of security and satisfaction to a refugee family. I've been driving Samer and some of the Syrian men to their course in Berlin. And as I was driving them past a school the other day, one of the men said, "When I see Canadian children going to school and walking along the streets in safety, I feel sad." So many Syrian children have no opportunity of those things. How much more remains to be done before that man's sadness is ended? Surely we must somehow and in some small way have a bold part in that process. We must take bold action for the well-being of the life of the planet, taking whatever actions we can, what in our power to do, to try and reduce climate change emissions. Can we consider getting expert advice on the energy use in our home and then trying to improve it? Can we think of perhaps our next car being either an electric one or a hybrid? Can we think of getting out of oil investments and rather investing in technologies that are going to be based on renewable resources? Can we think of eating less meat, thereby reducing the number of methane belching cattle, methane producing 20 times the extent of climate change affecting gas and carbon? And finally, when we consider we've been badly hurt by others through unfaithfulness, breaking of confidence, or lying, or unfairness, can we boldly decide not to get our own back by hurting the other person in the most available and damaging manner? Can we instead make known to them our disappointment, our hurt, yes, our anger, and with appropriate safeguards, ask for an opportunity to try and sort things out? If we get no response, no reconciliation happens, then let's keep our distance. Let's commend the matter to God and get on with our lives. By means of this story, Jesus is inviting us to be willing to take bold actions, to participate in God's mission of reconciling the world to himself, and thereby to experience an enduring sense of security and satisfaction in ourselves, and at the same time recognizing that we're contributing to providing that same sense of safety and satisfaction to our families, to our society, to the world in general. This is our Christian way of life, which continues day by day, year by year, generation by generation. New decisions have to be made for new circumstances. Sometimes, and I speak very much from personal experience, sometimes this seems like one terrible chore. But actually, it's a continuous opportunity, and always, in the end, worthwhile. Let us be believing. Let us be bold. Thanks be to God. Amen.